Welcome back to the booth here at Strata, New York. I'm joined now by Jason Davis and Stephen Murtagh from Etsy. Guys, thanks very much for being with us.
Thanks, Mac.
So first question I have for you, you just took the wraps off of search ads. How did that product come about?
There's quite a bit of history to search at Etsy. Historically, Etsy is actually a 5-year-old company, and as most companies start out, most internet startups, I should say, they start with their MySQL database, standard relational database. The first thing they want to implement is search. Well, how do you do that? Well, it's just your standard SQL search. And how does that rank results? Well, it does so by recency. After a few years, the marketplace grew tremendously, and sorting by recency sort of took on a life of its own. In fact, sellers realized that when you first list your item for 20 cents, you're at the top of results, say for jewelry.
Yeah.
But hey, you can actually go and renew your item for 20 cents, and there, bam, you're go from page 20 results to the top of page 1 of results.
Right.
So even after we upgraded our core search infrastructure, we use Solar Lucene. We actually, for a very long time, we're still sorting by recency. And part of that was, a big part of that was seller expectations. This sort of became an advertising product. But then, today, the marketplace has over 10 million items in it. Sorting by recency, it's really a very blunt hammer, and it's very hard to find things.
Right.
And we wanted to move away from that, switching from recency metric to something that could include all sorts of information retrieval scoring signals, topicality. If someone searches for jewelry, you want to find the most beautiful, best jewelry in the marketplace. So in order to do that, we took away something very core and fundamental from sellers, and that's the ability to promote their items in the marketplace. So we made that switch in July, and since then, actually concurrently, we've been working on an advertising product the plan was to release shortly thereafter, so a month or two after, which effectively serves as another way for sellers to promote their items explicitly on search. So search ads today, instead of paying 20 cents to relist your item, it's keyword based, so you can pay, in some sense, when you pay 20 cents to relist your item, you were buying all keywords for your item.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Because of just the way it worked.
Right.
Today, you can pick the best keywords for your shop. They're all dynamically priced. So if you're selling 14-karat gold jewelry, you'll pay more. And if you're selling some wool yarn, the prices will be cheaper.
Sure.
And that's reflected, core to the system.
Right.
So in that sense, it's much fairer for sellers. I mean, there's much more transparency as to what's going on. It's much better for Etsy because we can control the ecosystem.
Yep.
So really, it's a much better product for both parties, and of course for buyers. There you have your paid placements at the top of the page, or we will next week.
Yep.
After we're live with the ads. Yesterday we just turned on the console that you can buy ads, and then below that you have your organic search results, which are sort of buyer relevancy algorithms.
Right. Do you see this as a data product?
Pretty much from start to finish, it's a data product.
Yeah.
We started by looking at what are people searching for, how does that play out in the marketplace? What do sellers want to sell? And then really everything from there was data driven. How we price things is based on what we see in terms of queries and sales from those queries. How we determine whether or not a keyword is good is based on how selective it is across the marketplace. We don't want to show somebody, if you type in, say, red dress, you're probably looking for a dress. You're probably not looking for a red wall decal. Right. And so we use data to kind of sift through all that and decide, what is somebody actually looking for. And then, what keywords do we want to sell, or, things that are specific enough to find a good item, but general enough that there's going to be more than one item that comes back. So kind of at all these levels, we had to look at the data we had and determine how to proceed based on that.
There's a real-time component to it, correct? How does that work?
There are several aspects to the real-time component. So one is there's fundamental to the system is a notion called pacing. So suppose today we expect to see 1 million queries for jewelry, but we've only sold 10,000 ads.
Okay.
Well, one thing we don't want to happen is for the ads to run out from midnight to 1 a.m. So what we do there is we do extensive search query analysis to look at how many people do we expect to be searching for jewelry tomorrow, and then how many ads have we sold.
Right.
And furthermore, we also sort of look at how traffic rises and falls throughout the day, and from there we have algorithms that are obviously backed directly from data to try to pace ads. So, if we sold it, say if we were expecting 1 million queries for jewelry and we sold 100,000 ads, 1/10 of the time we would show an ad, and 9/10 of the time we actually would not show an ad.
Sure, right.
So that's sort of one component. The other component is the way we match keywords to queries. We use a match type that Google AdWords uses called phrase matching. So as an example, if someone searches for white wedding dress, that could actually, according to the rules, could match different types of keywords. It could match white wedding, could match wedding dress, white wedding or dress.
Right.
But actually, Steve worked this was sort of Steve's thing. Maybe you can talk a little bit more about it.
Sure.
So you type in white wedding dress, there are 5 possible keywords. How do you decide which one somebody's actually looking for? If you're looking at the data and somebody buys something after searching for white wedding dress, what led to the sale?
Yeah.
And so, again, this all comes back to the data. So we looked at our queries and looked at individual keywords, so any 1 or 2 word combination, said, well, what do these tell us about the item? And it turns out something like white tells you almost nothing. White can be an attribute used to describe pretty much anything in the marketplace, whereas wedding dress is very specific. If you type in wedding dress, you're looking for a wedding dress of some variety. It's kind of self-explanatory.
Right.
So really, we just needed a system for ranking how selective keywords were. And so that would tell us white wedding dress is more selective than white wedding, because there's less variability in what is returned. And then white wedding is better than wedding or dress or white. And so we could basically just create a ranked list of how good each keyword was for a query and then select based off of that.
Interesting.
And of course, it avoids the obvious embarrassments of someone searching for white wedding dress, showing a keyword that's just based on the keyword white.
Yeah. Sure. Right. So expanding this a little bit, I know that search logs are a component of what you're mining here. Do you feel that that's an untapped resource on a lot of sites?
Right. So, for us, it's our bread and butter. We look extensively at what people are searching for, and of course, at Etsy, we also have a marketplace. So what we actually do there is overlay what people are searching for with what people are selling.
Yeah.
So you have raw query counts, you have unique counts by visitor. On the marketplace side, you have listing counts, you have category counts. How many times? White. How many unique categories does that appear across? Whereas something like wood will be in fewer categories because it's more specific to desk. Like Steve was saying, white can describe anything in any category. So for us, certainly we're incredibly data-driven. And to answer your question in terms of query analysis and opportunities on other internet properties, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think for us, given our scale, Etsy does over 1 billion page views a month. Our marketplace has over 10 million items. We do you do 7 or 8 million searches a day. For us, it's a huge treasure trove of data. There's no way we could have built the system without going there.
So I had one last question for you, because I was reading through it last night, the material you sent along. You're going with impression-based, right?
Yep.
Why did you decide to go with impression as opposed to click-through?
Right, it's a great point. At the end of the day, in many ways, the algorithms and the pricing schemes are very similar. When Google sells per click, they back it out to a CPM.
Yeah.
So we actually started on a CPM. Certainly, one thing we're looking at moving forward is if we see that sellers are having a bad experience with specific keywords, and we can either tell them and help them improve that, or actually correct it for them automatically if we choose to go in that direction. At the end of the day, Etsy, we're actually also in a very, very interesting, unique situation that we own the entire pipeline. We own the search. We own, sellers, of course, own their listings. We own the pipeline to buy.
Yeah.
So really, in contrast to Google AdWords, you send a click off somewhere random. Google has no control over that experience.
Okay. Yeah.
So for us,
that's a significant difference. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Well, thanks, guys, so much for being with us. Really appreciate it.
Alrighty.
We'll be back soon with more live interviews here from Strata, New York. Please stay with us.